So with all of that, it's led us to one idea. That was the purpose of the pool, is to try and get to one. And so the winner is the ad selector. The ad selector was originally brought to us from Hulu. It's a great ad model. Maybe many of you have actually interacted with it, but just to walk through how it works. So you're gonna, as a viewer, you're gonna select the content you wanna watch. And before you're allowed to see the video, you're gonna be served what we call a slate. And on that slate, you're gonna have 3 options from an advertiser to pick from. So 3 different video assets that will be at your disposal to choose. And if you don't choose one will be chosen for you. So that was the idea that Hulu brought, and they're currently running on their site. And through the pool process, one of the things that we learned from listening to the consumer is that they want more choice. So the way Hulu had brought the model and is currently using it, let's say like a General Motors could buy the whole slate and put 3 different cars for the viewer to select. Or someone like Tracey might have 3 different pieces of creative that they could let the viewer select which video that they wanted to watch. But really what we heard was that the consumer wanted to pick the brand. So in this visual, what you see is a Fancy Feast, Applebee's, and BlackBerry, 3 distinct products for the viewer to select from. It's a fairly difficult thing on the backside to do, so we feel that the consumer insight that's driving us to make it this way should pay off in the end. So let's just go through the research really quickly.
And just one comment on the research. So when I met with Randy as we were prepping for this session, what he said is, I really want you to cover the research in detail, which we promised him, and you guys are going to get this today. Scott already alluded to the book, the meat and the detail of how we ended up where we're at. And we want to kind of give you a top line on that now.
Yeah, so we are going to be making available to everybody the book, and this is a copy of the book, so it's got a lot of detail in it. But what we're going to take you through right now is essentially the executive summary of the book. So there's a lot more detail that we're wanting to share with you, and hopefully this gesture of giving you this book is showing that our commitment to complete transparency of this process, at least where we can be completely transparent. So phase 1, the approach was 18 experiential sessions, essentially focus groups, in January 2009, 3 cities, Seattle, Philadelphia, and Chicago, and the targets were broad range. So they had to be current online video users, but heavier light, and a wide range of ages from teen to adult. We tested 5 models. So these were the 5. Everything is benchmarked against pre-roll. So these were the 5 that when we met and saw the 29 ad models that were presented to us, these were the ones that we voted forward and wanted to look deeper in. So hopefully I can give you a demo quickly of this without messing the whole thing up. Okay, so what you're seeing is, this is the Hulu ad selector, and as they brought it to us, the original idea. So again, the viewer is presented a slate after they select video and can choose whether they want to watch one of these videos from, in this example, Tracey. So it's 3 different video creatives that Tracey happen to have. You watch the video. After the video is over, the video content that you requested plays. So this idea, the interactive, was brought to us by Yahoo. And here what you see, I've paused it, but what you see is a 3 to 5 second billboard that runs, that tells you who the sponsor is. And then it rolls to the top while you're watching the video content that you ask for. At any time, you can click and bring down that curtain and watch the video. And you can also interact with the video. If you choose not to interact with it, it will be served to you as a post-roll. So the third idea was brought to us by Microsoft, and it's the idea called the clickable. And what you see here is there's going to be hot spotting. So hopefully you can see in the back, but a red indicator to the viewer comes up that a part of the video is hot. And what you see on the left is product information. So you can make either your ads clickable or even content like, let's say, the Today Show where they're demoing gadgets. So that's the clickable. The next idea came from discovery, and it's called the embeddable. And the idea here is that if you're very passionate about discovery content, let's say you're a cat fan, and you go out to their site and you find some really cool cat content that you want to put on your personal social networking site. Here we're showing Tila Ishas, so we wanted to get a good idea of what happens when you snag content and put it on a personal profile. So, and the advertising rides along with it. So the last idea here was brought to us by Microsoft, and it is called the transitional skin. So what you see as your content is loading is an advertising message here shown on the left. So those were the 5 ideas, plus pre-roll, which we probably don't need to demo that. Just to share some of the qualitative insights that we found in this first phase. Personal ad relevancy appears to be more powerful than contextual ad relevancy. Do what you can to empower the viewer. It pays off. Be respectful of their time. They're not there to watch the advertising. Do what you can to leverage the web. And there was these 2 viewing orientations, which really kind of led us to launch the second lane of the pool, focused on short form, that we always looked at it as duration, long and short in terms of time, but we saw a different orientation, a more purposeful viewing process when you would watch long form. So we wanted to make sure that the research would hold for an ad model for short form and long form. So we saw that early on. Here's just a few quotes from people in the groups in terms of how they felt about the ad selector. They said, I sent your company an email thanking you for the option. I think giving people an option of viewing advertising is very clever and an engaging way to send messages. It's empowering and freeing. I was more open to the ad that I was able to choose. And it's nice to see ads for products I might actually buy. Better bang for the advertiser's buck and a nicer experience for me. So that gives you just an idea of things that we heard. Although this is qualitative research, we did ask everyone as they were leaving to rank the models in terms of most likable. So we saw the ad selector and the interactive were off to a very good start. We got back together as a group and reviewed all of the research in detail, and we found that the ad selector and the interactive scored really well in terms of relevancy, empowerment, respectful of time, and leveraging the web. So the group voted those 2 forward into the next phase, phase 2, quantitative. So here the approach was an online nationally representative survey, roughly 2,300 respondents. The timing was March through April 2009, total US, and the same targets that we saw for phase 1. So what you're seeing here, I'll show you 2 slides here. So what you're seeing here are the key advertiser benefits broken out by the ad selector on long and short form, the interactive on long and short form, and pre-roll on long and short form. So you can see here that in terms of the advertiser benefits, ad selector was performing really well in terms of unaided recall, attentiveness, positive attitude towards the sponsor, willing to consider the product. And unfortunately, the interactive was just avoidable and easy to ignore. So that was the problem that we saw early on there. And when we look here on this slide, what you're seeing are the consumer benefits. So we're lucky that the ad selector scores very well on consumer benefits. Otherwise, we would have had a hard decision to make. But the ad selector does well in terms of offering personal relevance, giving me choice, being visually appealing and engaging. And the interactive did do well in terms of leveraging the web, and it was a split decision in terms of putting the viewer in control.